What is going on, guys? Noah Brewer here, back again with another video. And today I'm going to be showing you exactly how I create my TikTok ad test campaigns. I made a video like this in the past, but since then, obviously I've learned a lot and I do things a little bit differently. I'm also going to be giving you a few different variations of things that you can test. That way you can go out, do your own tests and find out what works best for you, because honestly right now I'm seeing success with a few different things. So I don't want to limit this video to only one strategy because we're running multiples, kind of testing what's working, and all of them work pretty well and have pros and cons. So as I'm kind of creating this campaign, I'll kind of walk you through like what some of your different options are, what the pros and cons are of each. So one thing that I want to say is this video is assuming that you already have a product picked out and you already have your store completely built and ready and you already have an advertisement. So this video is going to be specifically talking about the actual campaign creation inside of the TikTok ads platform, how you should set up the campaign. So I'm sharing my screen, I'll pop it up on the screen here, and let's go ahead and make this campaign. So go ahead and click create, and the first thing that we're going to do is optimize for conversions. We're going to want to optimize for purchases out the gate. Go ahead and name the campaign product test, and we're going to turn A/B testing off and we're going to turn CBO off. Now, product testing with CBOs is something that I've done with Facebook ads, but it's not something that I've done with TikTok yet. Do I plan on doing it? I'm not really sure. Honestly right now the method that I'm using is working really well, so I don't really see a point to, other than the fact that it could perform better. So I might test it out here in a little bit, but for now I'm not doing it. I'm just doing normal ad set budgets, and then obviously don't set a limit for the budget because we're going to set the budget on the ad group level. So once you get to the ad group, obviously you're going to want to select your pixel. So once you have your pixel selected, we're going to select the placements. Now I'm very interested in these other platforms. I don't necessarily know exactly what they do or how they perform, so if any of you guys have tested them and seen how they perform, I would love for you to drop a comment and let me know. But for now, up until this point, I've only been targeting TikTok. I haven't been doing any of these other platforms. So this is kind of where you can make a choice if you want to leave comments on and if you want to leave downloads on. To be completely honest, most of the time I just flick them off, and for the sake of this video, I'm just going to flick them off. Turning comments on your ad could be good, because if you get some good comments, you can then make an account and then reply to those comments with a new ad and then run ads using your reply to a comment. So that could perform really well, and that's one of the benefits of turning comments on. But obviously, if you have comments on, you're going to want to be moderating it, and for me, it's just something that if you have the comments turned off, you don't have to worry about it. So honestly, I've seen success either way. I don't think it affects performance at all. So the audience tab, we're just going to leave blank. Now, in terms of locations, I mean, you can really target whatever countries that you want. Obviously, if you're doing something differently than what I'm doing, you might want to target your country or whatever if you're doing it in a different language. For my specific strategy, we've been primarily targeting United States and Canada, and this makes fulfillment a lot easier. If you know, with Facebook ads, we have been doing worldwide targeting, which performs really good, and I think it is worth it for Facebook, but we're keeping things simple on TikTok because, again, we want to eventually transition these stores into brands and, you know, build them into bigger things, and it's much easier to build a brand when you're only targeting one or two countries. Now, in terms of the gender, I would 100% recommend leave it completely broad. I have not tested narrowing down by gender yet. I don't really see a point in doing it though. We used to do it with Facebook ads back when I was a beginner with Facebook, but as soon as I started understanding the platform and how the algorithm worked, I stopped doing it. And there's a reason for that, is because you don't know who your buyer is, and they're going to be able to find it, and they're kind of naturally going to optimize for who your buyer is. So leave the gender blank. One thing that I will say about the age targeting, depending on your product, there are different policies inside of the TikTok ad policy that actually require you to limit the age. So for example, if you're selling a beauty product, you have to do 18 plus or possibly even 24 plus, depending on the country that you're targeting. So make sure that you read the TikTok ads policy and understand the age limits. For this example, I'm just going to do 18 and over. Now, I don't 100% recommend limiting your age group targeting too much. Like for example, if you're selling a wrinkle cream or something along those lines, of course you're going to want to target older people, but I would probably recommend leaving it as broad as you possibly can. just because, like I said earlier, the algorithm is going to find your buyer, and it's not really going to waste that much money on those other audiences either. I also think that leaving your targeting broad also helps the algorithm kind of go out there and find out who your target audience is for you a lot quicker and easier. So I would usually recommend just leave the age on no limit unless the ad policy requires you to have a certain age limit, which sometimes it does. So definitely read the ad policy and make sure that you're following it. Languages, I usually put on no limit. In terms of interest and behavior, we're just going to skip over that for now. I'll come back to it in just a minute. Now, for the daily budget, I've been testing just with the minimum budget of $20 per day. And then have I been scheduling it for midnight? 100% yes. It's something that I started doing in the very beginning because one of the things that TikTok ads was doing was if I would publish an ad right now, for example, it's 11:30 a.m., it would usually get approved at like 12:30 to 1, and then it would literally spend the entire budget like within a couple hours. And I just think it wasn't bringing the right results. And when I create a new campaign, I just want it to have like one full day. That way I know that, you know, the timing of the campaign creation is not affecting the results in any way. Now, I think if you're not as superstitious as I am, I don't think it matters too much. Like I've kind of done both ways where you don't schedule it, and when you do schedule it, just to keep things consistent across the board, I like to schedule it just so I don't have to worry about it. Now, this is another option. This is another thing where you can choose what you want to do. Manual bidding, or cost cap as they call it on here, and lowest cost. I already made a video breaking this down. Should you do manual bidding or should you do lowest cost? So if you want to hear my more in-depth thoughts on which one you should do and why, then go check that video out. It's on my channel. I believe I uploaded it sometime in the past couple weeks. To keep things short, manual bidding performs really good, and I have popped a ton of winners doing manual bidding, but it can bring some spend issues. So I would probably recommend, if you're new to TikTok ads, start out by doing manual bidding, and if you're having issues with your ad spending, then move into lowest cost. Because if you don't have spending issues with manual bidding, I think it performs really good, but lowest cost also performs really good. Like I started testing lowest cost a lot more a couple weeks ago, and we've basically been doing lowest cost on every account, just so we don't run into any spending issues. So for the sake of this video, I'm just going to do lowest cost. It's basically equivalent to like automatic bidding, where it's automatically going to put the bid. Just if you are going to do manual bidding, just keep in mind that you cannot set a bid that is above your budget. So it's letting me do it right now, but when you go to publish, it actually won't let you. So that's one of the downsides of manual bidding, is if you have a $20 budget, you can only do a max bid of $19.99. So obviously it has a suggested minimum bid, and we're not even close to it. So that's why lowest cost is a good option, because it allows you to leave your ad spend to spend freely with whatever bid TikTok thinks is okay, but it doesn't limit you to your daily budget. So now that you have your basics set up, let's talk about interests and behaviors. This is also something that we're testing a lot and kind of exploring different options. I've tested, interest and behavior, interest only, behavior only, and then no interest. And honestly, they all perform good. I think it all comes down to whatever your personal preference is. Personally, I like choosing one interest for every single ad group. So for every ad group, the interest is going to remain the same. So for this product, obviously, it's going to be automobiles because it has something to do with cars. So essentially what we're going to do is just choose that, and that's going to be our base interest, and we're going to be targeting automobiles on every single ad group inside of this campaign. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do one different behavior for each ad group. So same interest on every ad set, but a different behavior. This is the setup that I started doing, and this is probably the one that we'll stick with. This kind of narrows the audience down a little bit, and you could also run into some spending issues depending on what you choose to target when doing this method. So if you are doing this method and you're still seeing spend issues, I would probably recommend take out the category and just do interest only, or take out the interest and just do category only. We're going to do the most obvious interest first, which is automobiles/auto and vehicles. So I usually like to name my ad group exactly what I'm targeting. So this tells me that automobiles is the interest and auto and vehicles is the category. So that just allows you to be a lot more organized, and down the line when you're scaling, it'll be really helpful for you to look over your account and determine which interests and which which categories are performing the best. So once you have all that set up, your ad group setup is now completely done. So we're gonna move over to the ad now. This is another area where you have some options as to what you can do. For most products that we're testing, we only have like one video ad. So we're not doing multiple video ads under each ad group. But I did get some comments of people saying like, hey, do you recommend doing more than one ad under each ad group? And the answer is yes. If you have multiple creatives, I 100% recommend putting multiple creatives under one ad set in every single ad set in your campaign. I think it just mixes up the optimization a little bit. It gives you a little bit of a higher chance of actually finding a winning creative if you have more than one. I'd say somewhere between 3 and 5 is a good amount. Don't overdo it, but also just having one is also working really, really well for us. So you don't have to sweat it. Like, it'll increase your chances a little bit, but if all you can find is one creative, or if all you can make is one creative, it's not a big deal. Launch it anyways. So go ahead and upload your video ad, and I'll kind of show you how I set up my names and my ad copy real quick. So the display name is literally just going to be your store name. So I don't like to put anything like fancy or finessey. Like some people like to put like a name of an influencer or something like that. I don't really recommend doing anything sketchy like that. Just put your store name, or like at the most I would go is putting the name of your product. Like if you came up with some sort of branded name for your product, that's like the most that I would do personally. But for now, we're just going to put our store name. In the text, I like to keep the ad copy very, very simple. And the reason for this is anytime I try to create like any super salesy ad copy or essentially really good ad copy, it just gets disapproved because the automatic system picks it up, different words and stuff. So usually what I like to say is just the name of the product and then available now or out now, or you can also do order now. Like it doesn't really matter what it is, but you're just keeping it simple. You're just saying the name of the product and then you're saying it's available. If you put anything there like 50% off, like I've tried all these different tactics in ad copy, like stuff that we normally do on Facebook ads, tried to bring them over to TikTok, and I just get disapproved. Like anytime I try to make any sort of special ad copy, and I'm sure that there's a reason for it, but to be honest, I moved to this very simple ad copy style and it works phenomenally. Like I really enjoy it. It's bringing great results, so I don't see a purpose in changing it, but I would definitely welcome you to test out your own things and see what happens. If you have any feedback or if you have a structure of ad copy that works really well, I'd love to hear about it in the comment section as well. So once you have that, the usual call to action that I use is shop now, of course. Go ahead and put your product URL in here. One thing I would definitely recommend is have the HTTPS in the URL and ideally the www as well. So this is something that I try to do like across the entire TikTok platform, because sometimes if you're missing the HTTPS or if you're missing the www, it won't register the link as a complete link and it'll just glitch out and misbehave. So go ahead and upload your profile image, which I would usually recommend to be either a picture of your product like in a nice setting or just your store logo. Doesn't really matter, each one. This is like another area where people will do some sketchy shit and just put like a picture of like some hot girl or whatever. I definitely don't recommend doing this. It's super unprofessional, and if that person in that picture finds out that you're doing that, like you could get in a lot of trouble, especially if it's like an influencer, somebody with influence at all. So I would say just make it your store logo or maybe a picture of your product. Just keep it simple. So once you have that, just go ahead and click submit, and I'll see you guys on the next page. All right, so now that we have our first ad group created, we're gonna go ahead and duplicate this 4 times. So we're gonna have a total of 5 ad groups inside of this campaign. Now, one thing that I will say is once you duplicate it, once you click next and save, you will not be able to schedule it again. So I would highly recommend that if you are scheduling your ad groups, right after you click copy, before you click next and then publish or save, make sure that you reschedule them, because once you do come to this page and click submit, you won't be able to schedule them again. All right, so this is exactly where we want to be. So now we have 5 ad groups. All of them are exactly the same. They're all scheduled for midnight. You can even go in and verify that just so that you don't have any wonky spending on the first day. What we're gonna do now is we're basically just gonna edit each of these ad groups and change out the behavior. So I'll show you how to do that real quick with one of them, and then I'll go ahead and do it. So essentially you just edit it, scroll down here, exit out of the category that you chose already, and we're gonna go ahead and just choose a different category. Now, my opinion on like how important the categories are, I personally don't think they're like that important. Like the interest targeting on TikTok is nowhere near as targeted as Facebook, like not even in the same realm, not even in the same universe. So most of these interests and categories are going to be like fairly broad either way. Like there's not going to be a huge difference between one and the other. So I would kind of recommend choosing things that very broadly or vaguely have something to do with your product. Like for example, I'm selling a car product, so I'm not going to target supernatural and horror, but I may target lifestyle, like just because lifestyle could vaguely be connected to cars in some way, shape, or form. But like scary movies and horror movies and shit like that can't really be connected in any way. So that's kind of the mindset that I have. Like it doesn't have to be directly correlated, but as long as it can be vaguely attached to the product that you're selling, I think it's good enough. So once you have that, of course, don't forget to switch out the name. That way down the line, you know exactly what you're targeting, and then just go ahead and click save. And we're going to go ahead and do that for every single ad group inside of this campaign. All right, so we just edited every single ad group in here. So now we have 5 different ad groups. All of them have the same interest, so they're all targeting automobiles, and then there's also different categories under each ad group. So this is the way that I would recommend setting up your test campaigns, and for this example, we only have one creative under each ad group, but like I said, I do recommend doing multiple, so if you can find multiple creatives, go for it. Make sure that you do it because it's worth it. I have tested it in the past, and it is worth doing. Like I said, I've seen success both ways, so it doesn't really matter that much. And there's also a few different ways that you can set up this campaign, so I hope that this video gave you enough information to where you can go out there, run some tests, figure it out. Hopefully you don't run into any spending issues. If you do, we know how to solve the issues. Go check out my video that I made about what to do if your TikTok ads aren't spending, because I covered this exact subject. You can also decide between doing manual bidding and lowest cost. For this example, I'm doing lowest cost, and I would probably recommend you to do the same, but manual bidding also performs really well. So it's hard for me to like choose one. It's easier for me to just tell you the pros and cons of each so you can make your own decision. So go out there, find some products, build some stores, and run some tests, and let's all find winners, baby. But that's it for this video. I hope it was valuable to you. If it was, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more content just like this. I'm Noah Brewer, and I'm out. Peace.